Well, hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of Women Like Me Stories in Business. I'm your host, Julie Fairhurst. And today I'm here with a lady from the United States. At least that's where she is right now. And her name is Brittni Cosgrove. Now, she is a transformational life and business coach who helps ambitious souls become their most magnetic, confident, and authentic selves. So, whether you are building a business, launching a nonprofit, or trying to get out of your own way, Brittni's all about helping you to break free from self sabotage and step fully into your power. She's a certified master coach and breathwork facilitator, speaker, and the resident coach for the nonprofit Travel Through Trauma. Brittni's on a mission to help people rise within themselves and for the world. So, welcome. I can't wait to dive into our conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience before we get started? Any little tidbits about yourself that you'd like to share?
Ooh, I would just say that I'm a stand for everyone living life on their terms. And so that's really what I have kind of taken the direction of my own life and then almost treated that like a permission slip for anyone and everyone. I always say if there's a desire on your heart, it's there for a reason. And that was how my business and a lot of my creative ventures have started was just I felt that calling. There was always that sense of like, I know there's something more, but what is it?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the doors can be open, but it's up to each and every one of us to walk through those doors.
Oh, absolutely. We can get the message, we can get the nudge, but we have to take the action. Yeah, for
Hmm.
sure. Well, Brittni, your work is all about helping people become their most magnetic self. So what does that really mean? What is that about?
Great question. So at the end of the day, we're all kind of walking around like our own little magnetic fields. The energy that we approach life at is is kind of what is opening the doors for what we're calling in and what we're letting go of. And when we are so tuned into our authenticity and what feels aligned for us specifically, not what society says, not what our family or friends or spouse or anyone says to do, when you're following your true mission and vision and bringing that in, you just naturally step into this magnetic version of yourself where you are magnetizing opportunities and people and connections and experiences because you are in that energy of what you want, and you're releasing the things that are getting in the way of that at a really like at the roots level. So none of this like yo-yo effect service level change. When we
Yeah.
start changing at the root and at that really core part of ourselves, then we just naturally become the magnets that we are looking for.
I love that magnet. But what do people do when they're so in 2016 I was really stressed out and I knew that I needed to make a change. But I didn't know what that was to do. I mean, obviously today I know what it is. I've done it. But back then I was like just like pulling my hair out. So what do we do when we're not really sure about how do we find that?
Hmm. This was where I was at in 2020. I always say that when the entire world hit pause, so did I. And that was my first time really stopping in my waking memory. All throughout childhood, young adulthood, college, and on, I was always go, 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 very busy, really following that kind of corporate ladder style, work, 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 very much hustle culture, bought into that. And so in 2020, everything kind of came to that stop. And I hit pause and started asking myself the questions of what do I want? What do I truly want? Where do I want to go? What do I want life to look at? And I started getting really introspective. And this is where it starts is you need to know your vision so that you know where you're going. Because if you have
Mhm.
all this momentum and you know something needs to change, the first question is like, what is it? And I always say, like, it starts by slowing down. When we want to go faster, slow it down even more and really get mindful and really tune in to what does that ideal day in the life look like for you? What are the missions on your heart that you want to follow? What are those callings that you want to
Hmm.
answer? And if you don't have any specifics, let's come back to the basics. Like, what are your core values? We all have a bunch of values, but what are the top 3 to 5 core values that you cannot and will not live without? You can take it a step further and define those values on your terms. Maybe one is connection, but what does that mean to you? And when we
Right.
start getting really specific and really granular and just slowing it down to these basic steps, you'll start having your own insights and answers. And from there, we got to take the action. You take the
Right.
action to follow that momentum, and as you keep taking steps forward, the picture is going to come into place. You'll find those missing puzzle pieces along the way. And sometimes that picture is going to shift. Sometimes it's just going to become even grander than you ever could have imagined. There's so many different ways it can play out, but we don't know that until you start taking those steps. And it comes back to knowing the direction that you want to start walking in.
Yeah, I just completely agree with you. I think that it's a discovery, of course, which is exciting, but it's also just like you said, taking those steps, it's okay. So you find out I really like this. I'm really interested in this. Well, then go learn more about this. Take a step, start doing something, hanging with those people, whatever that may be. And I agree, the closer that I don't want to say go, but the more you open to it, the more comes to you. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So how can we be more magnetic when it comes to, I guess, our passions or our purpose?
Mhm. It starts by tuning inwards. So, the more we build a relationship with ourselves and a really authentic and like radical self compassionate relationship with ourselves. And I'll say, when I say ourselves, I'm talking about all parts of us. So, the parts that feel fear, the parts that feel doubt, the parts that are really eager and excited, the parts that are really creative and have a lot of ideas. We are made of a bunch of different parts of us. And so when we start really looking at the relationships we have with the fear, with the doubt, with the drive, with the inner critic, whatever that is that resonates for you, we start leaning into this place of radical self acceptance. And from there, we are no longer projecting onto the people in our lives or the situations in our lives. We are no longer taking beliefs about ourselves and mirroring those into our worlds. We're just coming into this place where we truly, genuinely accept who we are. And it's this idea of self love, but it's an authentic self love. And from that place, it's just a way of being. It's not something we
Mm,
do, it's a way we are. And when
yeah,
we're in this place of acceptance for all parts of us, and this isn't, it's acceptance is different than compliance or,
right.
I'm blanking on the word, condoning.
Yes,
Acceptance is not condoning anything, but it's more of just saying this part is here, this fear is here, this doubt is here, whatever it is for you. And can that be okay? Can you feel the fear and do it anyways? And
right.
when you live your life that way, again, it's not a do, it's a way of being. It's this natural energy that comes off of us that people feel the difference. Because again, we're no longer projecting onto others. We're no longer projecting our stories, our sense of self worth, our limitations onto those in our lives. And in turn, they are no longer coming into conversations or connections with us in a place where they're subconsciously defending those projections. And again,
Ah,
it's not something that we're consciously doing. It's at a very
yes,
subconscious level. But by
yes.
clearing away our own inner experience, it naturally clears that on the outside too.
Yeah. Wow. When you were talking, I was just thinking about a little bit about myself. So I just retired 34 years in a sales and marketing career. And I remember my first 18 months, I starved. I had bill collectors phoning. I tried to even go get my old job back, all these things. And it was fear based. I know it was fear based. And once I gave up and I said, all right, fine, this is it. All right. All of a sudden, it just took off. It's like saying, and I was obviously meant to do that because I was there 34 years and I did extremely well. But I could have given up out of fear. And just so I think so, and I think my point is around that magnet. I think you can magnetically bring things to you that you don't want as well, such as when you're in that fearful place.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I liken it to we have these patterns that we are subconsciously living out of. And if we don't realize those patterns and bring awareness to them, life is going to be a mirror for it. And it's going to get louder and louder and louder. And then there's also the understanding that our nervous system is constantly looking for what feels safe, and it
Mm.
equates safety to familiarity. So this is
Right.
why we see people return to toxic relationships and have cycles like that, because the nervous system has equated what they are familiar with to that being where their safety is. When in reality, that's not true, but that's not the nervous system. It doesn't have that conscious logic like that. And
Right.
so it's not a bad thing, but it's something where until we like shine the spotlight on those patterns and start reworking them and rewiring them, it is going to be expressed. And I
Yeah.
do just want to put a little asterisk so that we're not bypassing that. Of course, there are systems in place and we see those in real time. So this
Yes.
isn't saying that those don't exist. This is more like a conversation around what is in your personal power that you can do in spite of any systems that are still there. So I do want to
Yes.
make sure that no one out there is hearing this and bypassing or thinking that we're bypassing too.
No, of course. Absolutely. Yeah. So, will you talk about helping people overcome the subconscious set points? So, what are those and how do they impact growth or success?
Mhm. The subconscious is like my jam and butter. I love it because it is so sneaky. And so we all have these set points or these upper limits that we don't realize we have. And I like to say I help people shatter glass ceilings because, again, it's coming back to this awareness. If we don't know what our set point or upper limit is, then you don't even realize you're hitting up against it. And
Mm.
so we can all do an experiment right now because I like to help people more tangibly see like what is an upper limit. So in a moment, I'm going to cue everyone to take the deepest, biggest breath that you can. And we're just going to hold it for a couple seconds. But I want you to take the deepest breath possible and then hold it. Okay. So on the count
Okay.
of three, take a deep breath and hold it. 1, 2, 3. Holding it in, all the way at the top, holding it. And now taking just a little bit more breath if you can at the very top. And now let it all go. Everyone listening that was able to take in a little bit more breath afterwards was going up against a subconscious upper limit. Because if you weren't, why wouldn't you have taken the biggest breath you could the first time? It's so
Oh,
sneaky. But this is just like this is a way of seeing how it is that we don't even realize when we're hitting up against upper limits. And the thing with the
interesting.
subconscious, it's so interesting. The subconscious is primarily developed in our childhood, like by the age of 7, and through past experiences that it might make meaning out of. The subconscious is it's this meaning making machine, and it doesn't always have the full context. So the meanings that it makes isn't always accurate or logical. But that doesn't mean we're not operating from that illogical way of thinking. So oftentimes I've worked with people around money stories, and they will have seen their parents, something happen with them around finances, and their upper limit is around finances or a certain number because maybe they saw their parents fight about it or a situation happened around it. That's an example. But these set points or these upper limits exist across the board in all areas of life, and there's nothing wrong with it, and it's not in service. It's trying to keep you safe, but at the end of the day, it's not helping you reach your goals.
Mhm. Wow. What about the oh, sorry, I just lost my you got me going here now. Okay. What about the sorry. sorry. I wanted to ask you about the travel through trauma. What is that?
Travel Through Trauma is this powerful nonprofit that I am honored to be a part of. My soul sister Ashraf actually founded it a couple years ago. And we have brought together a team of people that have developed a 4-month curriculum. And we have licensed mental health therapists. We have different styles of coaches. So I bring my life coaching. We have a lifestyle and wellness coach, self-defense coaching, financial coaching, kind of across the different areas of life. And we develop this curriculum that we send young adults through that come from underprivileged backgrounds so that they can really start taking the reins on their life and have that pivot that will change both their lives, their families' lives, their communities' lives. And then we pair this with solo travel, and we do help set that up so we're not just sending people into the world with no support.
Right.
But we have found, all of the team has found through our own travels and specifically around solo traveling, that there is a type of almost like magic. And it's really not magic, it's just confidence building and
Yes.
really leaning into expanding your comfort zone. But it feels magical and it's so healing. And so we pair this curriculum that we designed with sending our clients on an international trip on their own so that they can really take those steps and start changing their lives from the inside out in a way that feels really good and builds that confidence so that then they can go and be the ripple effect in their own communities and worlds from there. It's
Wow.
so different than anything that's out there. It really is groundbreaking. And as you can tell, I'm very passionate about it. It's a incredible organization.
It sounds amazing. So is this all based online then?
So about half the team is based in Southern California, and that's where the
Okay.
organization is run through. And at this time, that's where all of our clients come from as well, since that's where our therapists are licensed through. But
Yeah.
over time, we very much look forward to expanding
Yeah.
our reach through that.
And so when you say travel, do you mean literally traveling?
I do. Right now, we're sending our clients down to Costa Rica for, oh, I want to say it's a week, but I don't remember the exact number of
Yeah.
days that they're down there. And it's building this relationship with the client so that they're set up with this trip, but then they get to make their own arrangements for excursions, food, things like that, so that
Yeah.
they are starting to lean out of their comfort zone. And again, it comes back to building that confidence in themselves, building that
Right.
trust in themselves. And through this, when you're traveling, and it's really just in life in general, there is so much that we cannot control. And
Right.
so when you learn to be okay with that, and when you learn to be comfortable in the uncomfortableness, then that's a superpower in and of itself.
Ah. And do they and they go solo. They go on their own.
Mhm. Mhm.
Wow.
We help with different booking components so that it's not too
Yes.
overwhelming. We want this to be a really manageable and safe experience.
Yes, of course.
But yeah, they're down there on their
Yeah.
own. They're choosing the different excursions on their own, and they're really making that trip their own.
Wow. I went to Africa by myself on safari. And so yeah, for almost, well, 2 weeks that I was down there. And it's different going on a trip by yourself.
It is.
Absolutely. But it is also quite a growth experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I started solo traveling back in college. And for me, it was something that kind of happened randomly. I was meant to go with a friend, and then she ended up bailing last minute. And I said, okay, I'm going. And what I found is that when I would travel, it gave me, it almost was like I was able to give myself permission to be who I more authentically was. Because at that time in my life, I was struggling with severe anxiety and depression and just was really trying to be in control of everything.
Yes.
And I just really did not handle change well. I did not handle being out of control well. It was a lot of struggle around that. But when I would travel, it was almost like I just let go of that identity and I let go of all the rules I was putting on life.
Yeah.
And I just let myself be spontaneous and playful and curious with life. And it was just this massive shift internally where the anxiety wasn't what I was struggling with back in the US. And at home, it just was it was just so different. And my
Wow.
very first tattoo was actually a little plane that I have on my wrist
Oh,
that I actually got down in Peru, where a lot of people think it's like, oh, you love to travel. And it's like, yes, but this really was a symbol to me
yeah.
that of who I get to be. I get to choose who I am and I get to choose how I approach life. And it was through travel that I really understood that. And I really learned and integrated what that can look like when you step away from the day to day or the quote unquote normal life.
Yeah. Wow, that's beautiful. I love it. The whole package that you're talking about, it just seems so empowering for people. And I've got a lady who wrote in one of my books, and she said that she's never gone too far from home, but she had to go for a month for work. And so she had to go into restaurants by herself and all of these things that we as women typically don't feel comfortable doing. And she said it was so empowering. She just found that she just loved it. And she learned to um appreciate her just hanging with herself.
I love that. And for
Yeah.
everyone listening, like it doesn't have to be a massive trip or anything.
No.
Like you get to start exactly where you are, and taking yourself to dinner or taking yourself out like that is such a beautiful example of a way to just start building that relationship with yourself and just
Yeah.
start, pushing your comfort zone just a little
Yes.
bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Absolutely. I've got another question here that I wanted to ask you. So you wear a lot of different hats. So you're a coach, a speaker, a breathwork facilitator. So how does breathwork fit into the transformational process?
Great question. Breathwork is such a powerful tool to use. And so I will use it both in my like one-to-one coaching or when I'm holding space for groups, but I'll also sometimes just do workshops that are purely breathwork focused. And so what it is you're using this, it's under the umbrella of somatic work, and soma means body. So it's all body-based work. And a lot of the times we're so in our head and we're so in like up in our heads, up in the story, or maybe caught up in the emotions. And when we use the breath, it gets us back into the body, which is where just another way of creating transformation. And so this is fantastic for overthinkers or for people that have a really hard time like dropping into the body. For anyone that's familiar with that language, they want to be in the mind. This is a fantastic tool to really get into your body. And when we do that, we're letting go of the stories, we're letting go of the thoughts, and we're just in our current experience. And
Mm,
then when we use the breath, we can use the breath to move any energy that is in our body. And there's lots of different like types of breath that you can use, but at the end of the day, there's no right or wrong. It's just using that breath to move and express anything that's there. And then when you
mhm.
use breath work for an extended amount of time, like doing it more than just just a short couple minutes, if you're actually going through a breathwork experience, then there's a lot of energy that gets released. And so you might experience crying or yelling or laughing or arousal. I mean, there's so many different ways that the body and its energy will be expressed, but you're letting that energy go.
Mm.
And then once that energy has moved, you come into this place where you just get to integrate it and you can listen to your own wisdom. You can tune into your higher self. There's a peace that's there within it. And it has just been such a profound experience for me as I've been on my own self development journey. And I love using it for focus. I love using it for finding safety in my body. It's powerful.
I read an article recently within the last couple of weeks. I wish I could remember. I read stuff and then I have no idea who said it or where I found it, but it was an article. It was so interesting. And it was saying that we're moving from brain work to intuition. So we're finding that people are now starting to, instead of working with and listening to their brains as we have, we're now starting to listen more to our bodies and to our intuition to make decisions and to live life.
I love that. And I really think that, the body has so much wisdom. And it's also what stores our past experiences. So we
Hmm.
know, and there's science behind this. We know that trauma gets trapped in the body, our
Yeah.
past stories and experiences get trapped in the body. And when we really tune in to the body, there's so much wisdom. One of my first experiences around the wisdom of the body was with the book The Body Keeps a Score, which is just a great kind of
Ah,
intro to how there is this like mind body soul connection, and how treating the body can be like this holistic experience almost.
yeah. Wow. Can you tell us a little bit about, I'm not asking for individual, anything to do with your individual clients, but for just for people that you've worked with, like what kind of transformations do you see? So if somebody was listening right now or watching and they're thinking, well, I could use some help, what kind of things are people achieving through coaching with
Great
you?
question. If you have this goal that's on your heart or on your mind and you've had it for a while, and maybe sometimes you'll take action but then you'll fall off the wagon, or you're taking all the right steps and you're doing all the things but it's not happening, that's when you come to me, because that's usually a sign. If you're doing the things but it's not happening, there's going to be a subconscious block getting in the way. And so I think that most of the listeners here are going to be business focused. Is that right? Yeah.
For
Or
myself, a lot of our audience, yes, absolutely.
yeah.
Yes, a lot of
So
entrepreneurs.
I'll take an example that goes with business. I've worked with many people who want to scale their business, and usually that means bring in more income. And so they'll come to me with this goal that seems not too deep, right? It's just, oh, I just want to make more money in my business. Super normal. I'm absolutely here for it. So when we start looking underneath the surface, maybe we find that when they were younger, when I guess I'll go back to for as more of a specific example.
Yeah.
So there's a woman that wants to hit her next financial goal in her business, and no matter what she's doing, she's not getting there. What we found is that when she was little, her parents got divorced right around the same time that her mom got a promotion. So she had subconsciously paired making more money with losing her own marriage
Oh,
and with her husband. When we can see that with a fresh lens, we can know, like, oh, making more money is not the reason for a divorce. Those
no.
are separate things.
Yes.
And so when we shone the light on this that was out and brought her awareness to it, she can now see and create a new lens with it. And so not only can she start healing around the experience of the parents' divorce when she was young, but then on the more strategic or business side,
Yeah.
she can start realizing, like, oh, I can make more money and that doesn't have to impact my marriage.
Ah,
And so then not only is she now taking the steps in business with a different energy, or maybe steps that were just didn't feel as safe beforehand, she's taking different steps and with that renewed sense of like, I'm going for it. On top of that, she's bringing intentionality into her marriage and into that relationship so that she's fueling that, so that it doesn't come at the cost for growing the business. And there's more intention, there's more awareness, and there's more of acceptance of her full experience along the way. And it helps increase communication in her personal and professional relationships. It helps her feel more aligned because she is pouring into the relationships that are valuable to her while not neglecting or being only partially in on her own business. And then
mm,
you get to see the results. She gets to make more money. She gets to
yes.
feel the financial impact of having cleared this at the root.
Yeah. That's, I just love that you said that whole example because we don't know what we don't know. And a lot of times we're banging our heads against the wall. We're doing the same things, thinking, I don't understand why is this not happening for me? Why am I not progressing? Why do I progress and then slip back down again? So all those kinds of things. But it's so true what you said, and that the correlation between her mom getting the promotion and then her parents having the divorce for a child. Yeah, that's like that's danger zone for future.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And It's so, like I said, the subconscious is just so sneaky in how it plays out. It's not, it's not that conscious realization of like, oh, that doesn't make sense. It's
Right.
just what I like to liken it to little kids. Our subconscious is like little kids. It's trying to help, it wants to support, it wants to be involved. It just doesn't always have the full picture or know the best way to do so. So
Yes.
these patterns are not bad, but we don't want to be living from them. They get to be in the car, just not in the driver's seat.
Right. Right. Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. I think that yeah, the awareness. I just love that you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And it's
Mhm.
so important, I believe, for people to reach out and get help. And there's lots of different ways that people can get help. And of course, I do it through books and getting women to write, which certainly helps. But it really is that awareness. And the other thing that I find too, especially with women, is that we tend to internalize things. And once we sort of start to work on them, we realize that they weren't really that big a deal at all. And
Absolutely.
but yet they're really affecting us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like the
Yeah.
difference between simple and easy. And it's the difference between ease and ease or easeful and easy. It's like they're different.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's part
Yes.
of it. But at the end of the day, it just comes back to, being honest with yourself and honoring your own personal experience too.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So you also say that you are, or you don't say, but you are a certified master coach. So what kind of a what is this So I know what certified is, but what does master mean?
Yeah. So a mastery coach is formulated by Alyssa Nobrega, and that's who I trained under. And she has an ICF accredited school or coaching institute, I guess. And it's a year-long certification that works with coaching or teaches coaching across 5 different layers. And this is where the mastery comes into effect because we're not just looking at mindset, we're not just looking at strategy, we're not even just looking at the body, it's bridging all of it together. And so the different
Right.
layers are somatic work, so the body based, the emotional work, and this can look like inner child work, parts works, really working with the emotional energies that are there. Then there's the mental side of it, so mindset work and behavioral work, which is more strategic, more patterns, more the actual behaviors themselves. And then there's the unconscious, which is really where my wheelhouse is, which is diving into what is in the subconscious that is almost secretly holding us back.
Yeah.
And when we use all of these different layers, then you're not just stuck in one direction because maybe the mind is really stuck on something. So we'll use somatic work to go in a different direction. Or maybe the emotions are really strong and we'll pair that with behavior work. And so that, again, this is where the mastery comes back because on my side, I'm able to hold for anyone and everyone across any different things that you want to work on. But then
Yeah.
on the flip side, it's empowering clients to become like self mastery. That's not the right sentence, but to step into self mastery
I understand what
where
you mean.
you
Yeah.
where you're just owning who you are, where you are working with all parts of you, where you can regulate your own emotions and work with them and use them as stepping stones to where you want to go.
Yeah.
It's really, I like to think of it as I'm training clients to not need me. No one needs a coach. People want coaching because it's
Yes.
powerful. And so when they
Yes.
come to me, I am leaving you with tools and ways of being so that you are becoming the master of your own self along the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Which that's not really where the mastery method came from. That was
No.
the terminology comes from her and her methodology with
Yes.
training. But
Yes.
I see it as the next step of being able to support people and really stepping into self
Well,
mastery.
absolutely. And I think that, there's lots of people in the world with different qualifications and able to help people. But I think that, you've got some deep stuff going on to help with people. And I think that that's so important because not only the magnetic, what you're attracting, but also trying to help people to clear those blockages and that self-sabotage is just it's just nasty stuff. Do you work with men as well as women?
I do.
Ah, so I'm always curious. So what's the difference when you're coaching between men and women? Like, or is there any difference?
Hmm.
Are you using different tools or?
Great question. I don't necessarily use different tools. I hold my containers the same no matter who comes into them. That being said, there's different pattern or different um, maybe themes that I've seen. I just find that men tend to need more safety in the container to start stepping into the more emotional side. It just takes a different path. Whereas I find with women, oftentimes they are ready to drop right into the body. They'll feel the energy and they're ready to connect with it. They're ready to tune in.
Right.
And with men, it's more of like bringing in the psychoeducation around what we're doing and helping them see like, why are we doing this? And just
Ah,
again, just coming back to creating safety around why it's important to feel your emotions,
yes.
why these blocks, they're not in the way, they are the way. They are stepping stones, they're not boulders. And so but that's not necessarily just a men versus women. I just find that to be a theme.
Well, I think that men are more about why.
Yeah.
Oh, well, why does this work this way? And why does this work this way? And that's just the way their brains work. Where ours, I think, are we of course want to know why too, but we also feel we're just I think women are just a little more intuitive than men. And so we tend to, just like you say, get into our bodies a little bit easier than men do. But yeah, I mean, and everybody has blockages. Everybody
Yes.
has unconscious things going on that they need to try to clear so that they can have a better life and so that their next generations can have a better life as well. So
Absolutely.
important. Yeah. Wow. Well, I just loved our conversation. It's wonderful. Do you mind if I ask you just a couple of questions before we go?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
go for it.
What book is it out there that you love that you would recommend people read?
Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. It's it's
Oh,
one of my favorites. I kind of come back to it every so often, and I just love
I'm like, what did
the
I do with
ideas
my
that it brings
pen?
through.
I've seen
Yeah.
that one. So big, I'm just writing this down here. I get all the
It's on my
great,
bookshelf, like
I'm
right
so
over there.
lucky I get all the great tips. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. And the another question I would like to ask is if you could have dinner with any woman in the world, who would that be and why?
Oh,
Or
such
in
a
history,
good
whatever,
question.
whoever.
I think I would say Sophia Bush. She was an actress on one of my favorite shows when I was younger, One Tree Hill. And now she is just such an activist and a feminist and just is such a powerhouse for empowerment. And I just
Oh.
love what she represents, how she carries herself. I'm not even normally like a celebrity type of person, so I'm kind of surprised by that. But yeah, I think right now that would be her.
Yeah. Well, no, I completely understand. And I don't know her super well, but anybody that we can learn from and that we could get lots of empowerment from, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And my last question to you is if you could whisper some inspiration into the ear of every woman who's struggling right now, what would you say?
Oh, I have chills. I love this question. I would say you get to define your success.
Hmm. Love that.
It doesn't
Love
have to
that.
mean what the outcome is, but maybe it gets to be as simple as I tried again.
Yeah.
You get to define what your success is.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Thank you, Brittany. I love that. Well, everyone, we are going to have to sign off, unfortunately, but if you would like to reach out to Brittany, we're going to have all of her links and how you can find her in the details section of our YouTube video, as well as in the podcast. So don't hesitate to reach out. Obviously, she's got some good stuff going on, and if you feel like you've got some blockages there that you need a little bit of work with, don't be scared. Don't be shy. Sometimes we need to step out of our comfort zone, get a little help from somebody that can help us. And yeah, don't be shy out there, people. Well, do you have any last words for our audience, Brittany?
I'm just going to circle back to what I said at the very beginning. If there is a desire on your heart, it's there for a reason. Say yes to yourself. Say yes to your calling. It will be the best thing you could ever do for yourself.
Oh, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Well, everyone, thank you so much for being here on another episode of Women Like Me Stories in Business, and we'll see you next time.